Before you chase another goal, ask yourself this: whose life are you building? Whose definition of success are you chasing? Because if the blueprint you're working from wasn't born from your own fire, your own values, your own truth, you will win a game you never wanted to play. You will climb a ladder that leads to nowhere. You'll arrive only to realize you were never home. The world is loud. It's persistent. It hands you a script and expects you to perform. But the script was never written for your soul. And that's why so many people look successful on the surface, yet feel hollow in the dark. You don't need more noise. You need alignment. You don't need to do more. You need to do what matters. You need goals, yes, but not just goals to chase, goals to become, goals that build you from the inside out, not vanity metrics, not borrowed dreams, but soul-deep milestones that pull the best out of you and burn away everything you're not. So set goals that break you open, not goals that just keep you busy. And the first goal you must set, non-negotiable, foundational, is to master your mindset. Because without the right mindset, nothing else sticks. Nothing else lasts. Every breakthrough will be temporary. Every victory will collapse under the weight of your own disbelief. You must rewire the way you think. Replace the "I can't" with "how can I?" Replace the "why me" with "try me." Replace the fear of failure with the hunger to learn. Because your mind is a magnet. It will pull in proof of what you believe. So if you believe you're behind, unworthy, unlucky, you'll find evidence for that everywhere. But if you believe you're capable, equipped, favored, watch how the world starts bending in your favor. Watch how obstacles become fuel, how rejection becomes redirection, how your setbacks stop being stories of shame and start becoming symbols of strength. Master your mindset, not once, not sometimes, but every single day. Because the second goal flows directly from the first. Cultivate unshakable self-belief. Not the kind you borrow from compliments. Not the kind that wavers when the likes don't come or the room doesn't clap. The kind that's built in the dark. The kind you fight for. The kind that's forged in silence when no one sees, but you show up anyway. You must believe in your voice, your vision, your value. You must become your own validation. Because no one will believe in you more than you believe in yourself. And that belief, it shows up in your posture, in your energy, in the way you enter a room without needing to dominate, but impossible to ignore. The third goal, pursue clarity over certainty. Certainty is a myth. The world changes. The plans break. The data fails. But clarity is power. Clarity is knowing who you are, why you're here, and what you stand for, regardless of circumstance. Clarity cuts through noise. It clears the fog. It says, I may not know the whole path, but I know my next step, and that's enough. It says, I may pivot, but I will not panic. Clarity is what lets you move with purpose while others freeze in fear. So ask yourself daily, what do I want? Why does it matter? Who am I becoming as I pursue it? Write it down. Speak it often. Let clarity be your compass. And once you're clear, you set the fourth goal. Create a vision that scares you. If your vision doesn't intimidate you, it's too small. If it fits your current capacity, you're playing safe. Your vision should stretch your soul. It should demand evolution. It should require you to become someone new, because comfort never called anyone to greatness. Set a vision so vivid, so compelling, so non-negotiable that quitting stops being an option, not because you won't be tempted, but because the vision burns hotter than the doubt. Speak your vision like it's already done. Walk like the door is already open. Move like the opportunity is already yours, and watch how reality begins to bend around your belief. The fifth goal, define your purpose with precision. Purpose is not a career. It's not a product. It's not a brand. It's a reason, a why, a through line that connects everything you do. And without it, your goals will feel like chores. You'll hit milestones and feel nothing. You'll work hard and still feel lost. But with purpose, every task becomes sacred. Every step becomes intentional. Every win becomes fuel, not just for your ego, but for your soul. Purpose turns hustle into honor. It turns pressure into power. It makes you dangerous to every limitation, because you're no longer building for applause, you're building for alignment. So sit with yourself. Wrestle with the question, What am I here to give, not just get? What is the message my life is supposed to speak through actions, through impact, through legacy? When you know your purpose, you stop chasing distractions. And that leads to the sixth goal. Develop unbreakable discipline. Not motivation, discipline. Motivation is a spark. Discipline is a furnace. One fades, the other forges. Discipline is what keeps you moving when no one is watching, when the high is gone, when it's raining and hard and boring and inconvenient, but you do it anyway. Because discipline honors the future more than it indulges the feeling. You do what's right, not what's easy. You show up even when your mood says, rest. Because you're not building based on how you feel, you're building based on who you've decided to become. Discipline is love. Love for your future, love for your calling, love for the version of you that doesn't get to speak yet, but is counting on you to keep showing up. And if you do, if you live like that, you earn the right to pursue the seventh goal. Take bold, imperfect action. Stop waiting for perfect. Stop rehearsing. Stop preparing to prepare. Act. Move. Launch before you're ready. Speak before it's flawless. Leap while your legs still shake. Perfection is the enemy of progress. And speed matters, not because you're rushing, but because momentum is sacred. Start ugly. Start small. Just start. The world belongs to the doers, not the dreamers who keep dreaming. Action is the difference between a life you imagine and a life you experience. So set your goals on fire with movement, with courage, with fierce imperfection, because imperfect action beats perfect hesitation every time. And once you've built the habit of movement, you set the eighth goal. Practice relentless gratitude. Not occasional, not performative, not surface level, relentless. The kind of gratitude that doesn't need a reason to be thankful. The kind that looks at storms and still says, there's growth in here somewhere. The kind that blesses the pain, honors the process, and celebrates the little wins most people overlook. Because gratitude shifts your posture. It turns lack into leverage. It turns what you have into more than enough. It creates abundance not in your bank account first, but in your perspective. And perspective is power. You don't attract more by being needy. You attract more by being grateful for what you already have. Speak it, feel it, anchor your energy in it. Because a grateful heart doesn't just change your mood, it changes your frequency. And the universe responds to frequency, not complaints. The ninth goal, become adaptable. Life is not linear. Plans will break. People will shift. Circumstances will test every part of your character. And the ones who rise are not the smartest, they're the most flexible. Adaptability is not weakness. It's not indecision. It's the strength to bend without breaking. It's the wisdom to pivot with purpose, not panic. It's the ability to respond, not react. Adaptability says, I still know who I am, even if everything around me changes. It says, I can evolve without losing my essence. It's not just about surviving chaos. It's about thriving through it, dancing with it, making it part of the rhythm that refines you. So commit to growth, commit to change. And when life hits, don't ask, why me? Ask, who am I becoming through this? And that leads to the final goal, the 10th, the crown of all the rest. Live a life worth remembering. Not for the applause, not for the spotlight, but for the impact, for the truth, for the legacy. Because one day, your name will be a story someone tells. Your actions will echo in rooms you never enter. Your energy will outlive your physical presence. So what will it say? What will your life stand for? Did you build or just consume? Did you heal or just hide? Did you choose fear or did you lead with fire? Your goals are not just about achieving, they're about aligning with truth, with purpose, with the highest version of you. So write them, live them, honor them. Let them not just shape your future, but show the world what's possible when one person stops living small and starts living sacred. You don't need more time. You need a decision, and now you've made it. Now you move. Now you build. Now you rise not in a moment of hype, but in a lifetime of conviction. You rise because you've seen the truth. Your goals were never just about results. They were about the refinement, about who you'd have to become in the pursuit, about the parts of you that would die off so something greater could live. These 10 goals, they're not items on a checklist. They're pillars. They're promises. They're sacred contracts you make with yourself and your future. And from this day forward, you keep those contracts. Not because it's easy, not because it's convenient, but because you are done living beneath your potential. You're done negotiating with your fear. You're done standing at the edge of your life, watching others leap while you wonder what it feels like to fly. Now you fly with clarity, with purpose, with belief that no longer wavers at the sight of resistance, with a mindset sharp enough to cut through every excuse, every doubt, every delay you used to let define you. You are not that person anymore. You're not the version of yourself who settles. You're not the one who chases shallow winds while your soul starves. You are the one who said yes to the real work, the deep work, the kind of work that builds something eternal. So let the fire burn. Let the old fall away. Let the goals you've set not just lead you somewhere new, but lead you home to yourself, to the version of you that's been waiting for you to remember that you were never here to play small. You were here to lead, to love, to lift, and to do it all with courage, with clarity, with discipline, with truth, with heart. Because the greatest goal of all isn't just to win, it's to become someone the world will never forget. Not because you screamed the loudest, but because you lived the truest. So live, not someday, not once I figure it all out. Live now, start now, become now. You've set the goals. Now make them real. This is your moment. Not to chase what's safe, but to claim what's sacred. And nothing is more sacred than becoming exactly who you were born to be. And who you were born to be is not found in the noise, it's forged in the silence. In the decisions no one sees. In the mornings you rise before the world, not because you have to, but because you've decided to live a life that demands more of you. In the nights you stay with your purpose long after the feelings have faded, because your commitment is louder than your comfort. In the days when doubt creeps in like fog, and you still move forward, not because you're fearless, but because you're faithful. Faithful to the vision, faithful to the process, faithful to the unseen becoming visible through your relentless belief. This is where the greats are made, not in crowds, but in the quiet. Not in moments of applause, but in the hours of unseen repetition. Not in ease, but in resolve. And when the world looks back on your life, they won't see just accomplishments, they'll see alignment. They'll feel the weight of a life that meant something, that gave something, that awakened something. Because the 10 goals you set were not about trophies. They were about truth. The truth of a life lived awake. A life where mindset was mastered. Belief was unbreakable. Clarity cut through confusion. Vision stretched your soul. Purpose gave everything meaning. Discipline became your religion. Action ignited change. Gratitude transformed lack. Adaptability empowered evolution. And legacy was not just a hope, but a daily reality you built brick by brick. You've walked through the fire. You've faced the mirror. You've burned the old script. Now walk in your new chapter with fire in your chest, light in your step, and the thunder of destiny beneath your feet. Because this is how you rise. This is how you lead. This is how you live a life that echoes, now go. Live your goals. Be your goals. And let the world feel what happens when one soul finally remembers the power of their own decision. Let the world feel it. Let them feel the vibration of someone who no longer needs permission to take up space. Let them feel the silence you no longer tolerate, the fear you no longer serve, the mediocrity you no longer make room for. Let them feel the shift because it's real now. You've set the goals that matter, not for status, not for show, but for soul. You've buried the lie that said, stay in your lane, and built a road no one has walked before, because it was never about fitting in. It was about standing out. Standing out by standing up for yourself, for your future, for the people counting on your rise. You are not here to repeat. You are not here to blend. You are not here to mimic success that was never yours to chase. You are here to create, to define, to establish, to embody. That means you walk different. You speak different. You move with energy that cannot be ignored because it's not borrowed, it's built. Every goal you've set is now your covenant. And a covenant is not a wish, it's a vow. A vow to show up, to fight forward, to fail forward, to love forward. So love the process, love the climb, love the challenge. Because the mountain doesn't break you, it reveals you. And you've now become the one who climbs without flinching. Because you've stopped asking, will it be easy? And started saying, I was born for this. You don't need the whole staircase, you take the step. You don't need applause, you need alignment. You don't need the illusion of perfection. You need the integrity of persistence. And persistence is yours now. You've earned it. You've become it. So wherever you go from here, let your goals be the fire that lights the path. Let your growth be the proof. Let your presence be the answer to a world desperate for truth. Because the world is watching, but more importantly, your future is waiting. It's waiting for the version of you that didn't just dream, but decided. Didn't just set goals, but became the person who made them real. And now, nothing can stop you, not because the road ahead will be easy, but because you've become relentless in the pursuit. Relentless, not in noise, but in depth. Relentless, not in force, but in focus. Relentless in your refusal to return to the life that once felt safe, but cost your soul its voice. You've set 10 goals, but they are not 10 destinations. They are 10 awakenings, each one pulling you higher, each one cutting off what no longer fits, each one peeling back another layer of who you are not, so who you truly are can rise to the surface. This is not the kind of rise you post about. This is the kind you feel in your bones, in your spirit, in the way your feet touch the ground with certainty now, not because you know everything, but because you finally know yourself. And that changes how you move. You're no longer running from pain, you're running toward purpose. You're no longer obsessed with outcomes. You're obsessed with obedience to your calling. You're no longer seduced by speed. You're anchored in alignment because you've seen behind the curtain. You've seen the difference between success that looks good and success that feels good. And now you build what feels right from the inside out. Because the real you doesn't chase fame. The real you leaves impact. The real you doesn't perform. The real you transforms. The real you doesn't need to be seen because the work speaks so loud it can't be ignored. And that work, it starts now. It continues now. So carry these goals like a fire inside you. Protect them, nurture them, fight for them. Because these aren't just goals, they're guideposts. They're reminders. They're sacred agreements between the present you and the future you who refuses to live unfulfilled. So live full, speak bold, walk clear, and never forget the moment you stopped chasing someone else's version of success and started building your own. And in building your own, you became the architect of a future no one else could design. A future sculpted not by chance, not by default, but by choice. Every brick laid by intention, every wall reinforced by belief, every room filled with clarity, with purpose, with discipline so strong, it whispers to fear, you have no place here anymore. You've crossed the line that few ever dare to see. The line between ambition and embodiment, between wishing and walking, between waiting for change and becoming the change. Now your presence carries a frequency, one that says, I know who I am, I know where I'm going, and I'm not turning back. This is the unshakable you. Not because life won't test you, but because you've outgrown every version of yourself that used to flinch when it did. This is the disciplined you. Not because you never fall, but because you rise with precision, faster, cleaner, with more fire than ever before. This is the aligned you. Not because everything makes sense, but because everything finally feels right. And from that place, you no longer hustle for your goals. You embody them. You no longer beg for clarity. You breathe it. You no longer chase purpose. You walk in it. And when others wonder how you did it, how you transformed so completely, how you turned a scattered life into a sacred movement, you won't boast. You'll simply say, I stopped living on autopilot. I set the right goals. I kept the right promises. I became the right person. Because this was never about checking boxes. It was about building a life that made your soul say yes. And you did. So keep going. Let the fire stay lit. Let the world feel your rise, not because you shouted, but because you showed. This is who you are now. Clear, connected, committed, and finally, completely unleashed. There's a version of you that the world hasn't met yet. Not because it doesn't exist, but because it's been locked inside the cell of hesitation, chained to the wall of self-doubt, buried beneath the noise of other people's opinions and the scars of past failures. And confidence? Confidence is not the key. You are. Confidence isn't found. It's not inherited. It's not downloaded from a video or earned through applause. Confidence is chosen in the dark, in the silence, in the moment you decide to move forward before you feel ready. Confidence begins where comfort ends. It begins in motion, in truth, in fire. It begins the moment you stop waiting to be enough and start acting like you already are. So what do you do when doubt creeps in? When the weight of the past sits heavy on your chest and the voice inside your head whispers, who do you think you are? You get quiet, you get still, and then you move anyway. Because confidence is not the absence of fear. It is the decision that fear will not lead. Let me show you what confidence is made of. Not in theory, not in fantasy, but in fire-tested truth. It starts with presence. If you want to boost your confidence in this moment, you must first arrive. Not physically, mentally, fully, deliberately. No more playing on autopilot. No more pretending you're okay while your voice shakes with silence. Show up right now, in this second, and own it. Confidence does not dwell in the future. It lives here, in the way you breathe, in the way you speak, in the way you decide that you are done shrinking. When you decide to be fully present, you steal your power back from every moment that tried to break you. You take your energy out of the past, you take your focus out of the future, and you stand in the now. From here, you create clarity. Confidence is diluted by chaos. When your mind is cluttered, your self-trust is compromised. But when you get clear on who you are, on what you want, on where you're going, confidence rises. Clarity is not perfection. Clarity is decision. And decision is what gives your life momentum. Want instant confidence? Make a decision. Decide who you are today. Decide how you will act today. Decide what you will no longer tolerate from yourself. And from that decision, you create alignment. Confidence doesn't come from doing everything right. It comes from doing what is right for you consistently, even when it's hard, even when it's lonely, even when it's unpopular. When your actions match your values, when your words match your energy, when your choices match your highest identity, you walk different. You speak with authority. You radiate presence. You become unshakable because confidence is not volume. It's resonance, the quiet certainty of a person who knows they are walking in truth. But how do you find that certainty? You build it, brick by brick, through small, private victories, through unglamorous moments, through the discipline of self-respect, respect for your time, respect for your potential, respect for the person you're becoming. Confidence grows in the soil of self-respect, and self-respect is built by keeping promises to yourself. You say you'll get up, so you get up. You say you'll go to the gym, so you show up. You say you'll launch the project, so you launch it imperfectly. Confidence isn't built in massive leaps. It's built in the reps of showing up for yourself when no one's clapping. That's where identity changes. That's where trust is born. That's where your old self dies and the confident version emerges. You see, confidence is not a lightning strike. It's not a miracle. It's a habit. It's a code. And once you learn to live by that code, you don't just feel confident. You are confidence in motion. But here's where most people stop. They wait for the feeling. They wait to feel ready, to feel worthy, to feel powerful. But confidence isn't a feeling you wait for. It's a weapon you forge in the fire of action. Action first. Emotion follows. You act before you believe. You move before you're sure. You walk into the storm, not because the fear is gone, but because you finally decided that your mission matters more than your fear. Let's go deeper. Confidence is clarity in motion. But clarity dies without courage. So if you want unshakable confidence, you need to fall in love with discomfort, because discomfort is your mirror. It shows you what you're hiding from. It shows you where you still seek approval. It shows you where the old identity still controls you. Confidence begins when you stop avoiding that discomfort and start training inside it. Every time you face discomfort, you expand your capacity. Every time you move through fear, you shrink its power. Every time you take the hit and keep going, you become someone your old self would never recognize. This is where real confidence lives. Not in pretending you have it all figured out, but in knowing no matter what comes, you'll figure it out. That's belief, and belief is fuel. But belief without evidence is empty. So give yourself that evidence daily. Confidence is built in real time. When you say, I don't feel like it, and do it anyway, you collect evidence. When you step on the stage, even while shaking, you collect evidence. When you speak your truth, even when your voice trembles, you collect evidence. And evidence becomes belief. Belief becomes conviction. Conviction becomes identity. And when confidence becomes your identity, you stop trying to convince the world because your life becomes the statement. Confidence doesn't beg. It doesn't broadcast insecurity under the mask of arrogance. It doesn't need noise. It just moves. It moves with power, with clarity, with calm, because confidence doesn't scream. Confidence doesn't chase. Confidence walks in silence and owns the room. And the more you walk, the stronger it gets. But let me tell you something even more powerful. Confidence is not only how you see yourself, it's how you treat yourself. You want instant confidence? Raise your standard of self-treatment. Speak to yourself with the same fire you'd use to uplift someone you love. Look in the mirror and stop apologizing for your strength. Stop diluting your energy to keep weak people comfortable. Stop shrinking your truth to fit into containers you've already outgrown. Confidence means self-honor, and self-honor is the ultimate alignment. When your words and your worth match, you radiate something rare, not hype, not ego, but undeniable presence. And presence is the new power. You want to shift your life today? Shift your posture. Stand taller. Speak slower. Move with intentional breath. You are not rushing anymore. You are reigning not over others, but over yourself. Confidence means dominion over your inner world. And when you master that, you become uncontrollable from the outside in, because the person who governs themselves cannot be governed by fear. They don't react. They respond. They don't panic. They pivot. They don't need the world to validate them because they've already validated themselves through courage, through clarity, through relentless follow-through. Confidence is not a show. It's a signal, a frequency. And once you tune into it, you stop chasing results. You start magnetizing them. People feel it before you speak. They trust you without understanding why, because energy doesn't lie. And confidence is energy made visible. But don't get it twisted. Confidence does not mean perfection. It doesn't mean you never fall. It means when you fall, you rise like a warrior, not because you're unbreakable, but because you've chosen to rebuild differently every single time. Confidence means you've made peace with the process. You no longer need it to be fast. You just need it to be yours. You don't compare your timeline. You own your timeline. You don't envy their journey. You honor your own. Because when confidence becomes your baseline, you stop outsourcing your power. You stop negotiating your pace. You stop explaining your intensity. You stop watering down your vision to be digestible to people living in fear. You start moving like the outcome is inevitable. Because deep down, it is. This is your edge. And now, every moment becomes a rep. A rep for your mind. A rep for your heart. A rep for the identity that refuses to shrink again. And when doubt returns, as it always will, you smile, not because it's gone, but because you've already defeated it once, and you'll do it again. Confidence isn't about never hearing that voice. It's about having a stronger one that answers back. Not today. I know who I am now. Because that's what this is really about. Confidence isn't how you enter a room. It's how you enter yourself. How you return to the throne of your mind and take your seat. No more renting your worth. No more leasing your courage. You own this now. This moment, this breath, this presence. You don't need louder words. You need truer action. You don't need approval. You need alignment. You don't need more time. You need decision. And the decision has already been made. You walk like it. You speak like it. You lead like it. This is your code now. Presence, clarity, courage, discomfort, repetition, self-respect, alignment. Confidence in motion, not an act, not a dream, a daily devotion to your highest self. And when you live like that, you don't just become confident, you become unstoppable. Unstoppable isn't a feeling. It's a state, a way of being that cannot be bought, borrowed, or broken. A presence forged in pressure, tempered in truth, and backed by every decision that said, I am not backing down. Because when confidence is no longer what you try to summon, when it becomes who you are, you stop looking for doors. You build them. You stop asking for chances. You create them. You stop waiting for support. You become your own support system. That's the power of confidence. It creates infrastructure in your soul, pillars that don't crumble under pressure, a foundation that doesn't fracture under fear. And people will see the shift. They'll notice you walk differently. You speak differently. You don't reach for external validation anymore. You radiate from internal confirmation. Because real confidence isn't about how loud you can shout. It's how deeply you believe, even in silence, even in solitude, even in moments of stillness when no one is clapping. But you keep clapping for yourself. This is where greatness begins. Not in being loud, but in being clear. Not in having it all figured out, but in having the faith to move forward anyway. So today, you don't wait. You don't hesitate. You don't doubt. You act. You speak with conviction. You breathe like every breath is sacred. You walk like you've already seen the end of your story. And you win. You carry yourself with the quiet confidence of someone who has nothing to prove. Because they've already proven everything to the only person that matters. Themselves. That's the kind of confidence that moves mountains. That shatters old identities. That silences the inner critic for good. Not by yelling over it, but by outperforming it every single day. So don't wait for the fear to leave. Move with it. Don't wait for applause. Work without it. Don't wait for the world to see you. Become undeniable. Because the truth is this, confidence is not the reward. It's the requirement. The requirement to lead, to rise, to live this life, not as a spectator, but as the force that rewrites the rules. And you are that force now. Walk like it. Move like it. Live like it not someday, not when you feel ready, not when the stars align or someone finally gives you permission. Live like it now. Because confidence isn't something you delay. It's something you declare. It's not earned through perfection. It's born the moment you say, I'm enough as I am, but I'm committed to becoming more. It's not arrogance. It's ownership of your flaws, of your power, of your story, even the parts that almost broke you. Because when you rise despite the scars, when you speak despite the silence, when you move despite the shaking hands, that's not weakness. That's warrior work. And make no mistake, you are at war. Not with the world, but with the version of you that wants to stay small. That voice that says, wait, that part of you that says, maybe next time. You kill that voice with action, with standards, with discipline that doesn't check how you feel before it shows up. Because confidence is a practice. It's what you do when no one's watching. It's what you repeat until belief becomes identity. And then you don't need to hype yourself up. You don't need to get into state. You don't need to fake anything because you are already it. You've built yourself into someone who can trust themselves. And that's the real currency. Trust, not trust that you'll never fall. Trust that you'll always rise. Trust that you can handle the pressure. Trust that you can walk into a room and own your space. Trust that no matter what hits you, you don't crack. You clarify. That's the core of confidence. Clarity under pressure. Courage without audience. Consistency in the quiet. And when you master those three, there's nothing that can shake you. Not rejection, not loss, not even fear. Because confidence isn't the absence of fear. It's the presence of readiness. Readiness to move anyway, to speak anyway, to lead anyway. So wherever you go from here, go with that readiness. That fire, that identity that says, I no longer chase confidence. I carry it because you are the storm now. Not the echo, not the shadow, not the someday. You are the standard. Live like it, lead like it, and never look back because there's nothing back there for you anymore. Only the echoes of who you used to be. Only the dust of decisions you've outgrown. Only the chains you already broke. You didn't walk this far, bleed this deep, and rise this high just to look over your shoulder. You're not here to revisit doubt. You're here to dominate destiny and confidence. Confidence is the sword you carry into that future, not to fight others, but to slay the weakness in yourself, to carve out the life you were born to live, not the one you were conditioned to accept. Every step forward from this point is sacred. It's you choosing power over permission, alignment over attention, movement over momentum. Because you don't wait to feel confident anymore. You walk like you are, and confidence catches up. This is the truth you've earned. Confidence is not a mask. It's not performance. It's not hype. It is your presence. Your grounded, clear, unshakable presence that says, I don't need to prove who I am. I've lived it. I've earned it. I am it. So here's the charge. Not just for today, but for every day after. Speak like your voice shapes the room. Move like your steps. Bend the ground beneath them. Decide like your choices Write the blueprint of your legacy. You are no longer learning confidence. You are leading with it. So hold the line, raise the standard, keep the fire lit, and never, ever apologize for your strength again. Because this is who you are now. Not a seeker, not a student, the source. Now go live like the world depends on your example, because it does. Because somewhere, someone is watching you and asking themselves if it's possible. If it's possible to rise from nothing. If it's possible to believe in yourself again after the world stripped you down. If it's possible to move forward when fear has been your shadow for so long. And your life, your example, is the answer. Confidence doesn't just change you. It changes everyone who witnesses you refusing to back down. You're not just carrying your future. You're carrying a torch. A fire that reminds the people behind you that they can too. They can stand. They can speak. They can shake and still show up. They can hurt and still heal forward. That's the kind of confidence that shifts culture, not by being the loudest, but by being the clearest. By walking in truth so sharply, your silence speaks louder than most people's screams, because you no longer have time to doubt yourself. You no longer have space to rehearse failure in your mind. You no longer accept identities that you've already outgrown. You've stepped into the version of you that the world needs, not the one they expected, the one that leads, the one that remembers who they were before the fear, before the noise, before the smallness. And that remembering, that's your revolution. You remembered that you are powerful. You remembered that you are capable. You remembered that confidence is not something you ask for. It's something you decide to live from. And now you live from it daily. In your walk, in your focus, in your refusal to shrink for people who still doubt themselves. You live like your name matters. You live like time is sacred. You live like confidence is your default setting, because now it is. So close your eyes, take a breath, and declare it again. I will not wait for the world to validate me. I am the proof. I am the presence. I am the confidence. Now open your eyes, step forward, and never look back. Because behind you is the life that almost was, the version of you that almost made it, the dream that almost lived, the legacy that almost got written. But almost is for the hesitant. You're not almost anymore. You're all in. You don't toe the line. You cross it. You don't dip your toes. You dive deep. You don't test the waters. You own the ocean. Because now you understand, confidence isn't loud. It's lived. It's the way you hold eye contact with truth. The way you walk into the unknown without flinching. The way you take responsibility not just for what you've done, but for what you're about to build. You're not afraid of pressure anymore. You perform under it. You're not avoiding failure. You've learned how to use it as a springboard. And every time doubt knocks on your door, you meet it at the threshold with a smile, not because you're fearless, but because you're unavailable for retreat. This is confidence, not the highlight reel. The unshakable rhythm of a soul that chose itself fully, fiercely, and finally. And this rhythm is what carries you through. When the applause fades, when the crowd goes silent, when the plan breaks, when the test comes. You don't need perfect conditions. You are the condition. You are the variable, the force, the fire. So don't slow down. Don't second guess. Don't shrink back into what once felt safe. Rise, command, create, speak like you've already won. Build like your legacy's watching. Move like history is waiting to tell your story, because it is. And one day, someone will ask you, how did you do it? How did you become so confident? And you'll look them in the eye, steady and soft, and say, I stopped waiting. I started deciding. I remembered who I was, and then I lived like it every single day. So go, stand tall, stand true, stand ready, because you don't have confidence anymore. You are confidence. And the world, it's about to feel it. Feel it in the way you walk into the room without needing to announce yourself. Your energy speaks first. Feel it in the way you stand when pressure rises. Not rattled, but rooted. Feel it in the way you speak your truth. Not with noise, but with weight. Because confidence isn't the echo of someone else's applause. It's the thunder of your own footsteps moving forward. It's not the absence of failure. It's the refusal to let failure have the final word. It's not arrogance. It's not ego. It's the quiet knowing that no matter what happens today, you're still in control of how you show up. And you show up like it matters, because it does. Every second, every choice, every breath you take from this moment forward says, I'm here, I'm locked in. I'm unstoppable. You're no longer hoping for the best. You're becoming your best. You're no longer seeking the path. You're carving it with every step. And the fear, let it come. It's fuel now. It's signal now. It's the sound of old limits being shattered. Because when you operate from true confidence, you don't need to prove a thing. You just do the work. You don't talk about vision. You build it. You don't need the world to clap. You clap for your consistency. And when life tests you, and it will, you smile because you're not the same person anymore. You've upgraded the system. You've rewritten the code. You've chosen certainty over safety, responsibility over comfort, identity over insecurity. So walk forward, bold, clear, convicted. Let the world adapt to your presence. Let your movement be the proof. Let your name carry the echo of someone who refused to shrink and rose every time, like the sun itself. You are no longer waiting to feel confident. You've become the living definition of it. Now go, live like it, lead like it. Be it in the way you wake up before the world even opens its eyes. Be it in the way you commit long after the motivation has faded. Be it in the way you choose discipline over drama, standards over sympathy, legacy over laziness. Because confidence isn't given. It's earned in silence, in solitude, in every moment when you could quit, but didn't. That's who you are now. Not a talker, a doer, not a dreamer, a builder. You don't wait for clarity. You create clarity by moving. You don't ask for permission. You embody power. And your life, your real, raw, unfiltered life is now the curriculum. The way you rise, the way you speak, the way you hold yourself to a standard even when no one is watching, especially when no one is watching. That's confidence. Because this kind of confidence doesn't just boost how you feel. It reshapes how you live. It reprograms your posture. It restores your fire. It reclaims your identity. And that identity, it's unbothered by the opinions of the crowd. It's unmoved by the trends of the moment. It's unaffected by failure. Because failure is no longer a threat. It's a tool. It's data. It's proof you're in the game. And you are, fully, finally, forever. So carry that energy everywhere. Into your work, into your relationships, into your routines, into your dreams. Let it bleed into everything you touch. Let it burn into everything you build. And if anyone asks how you became so confident, tell them the truth. You stopped waiting. You started working. You remembered who you were, and you refused to settle ever again. This is your moment. This is your time. And this is how confidence is born. This is how it lives. And this is how it leads. Now, go. Let your life do the talking. Let your confidence be the loudest thing in the room, even when you say nothing at all.